compare. Stories fresh and bright, bringing truth to light. Every story counts, watch the views amount. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. In a fast-paced stream, we're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Breaking news right now, turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts, we inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Every story counts, watch the views amount. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. In a fast-paced stream, we're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Breaking news right now, turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts, we inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Every story counts, watch the views amount. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. In the fast-paced stream, we're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Breaking news right now, turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts, we inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Every story counts, watch the views amount. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. In the fast-paced stream, we're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Breaking news right now, turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts, we inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Every story counts, watch the views amount. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. In the fast-paced stream, we're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare.
Years in, a look at a case out.
Breaking news right now, Headlines top the charts. We inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we breaking news right now. Turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts. We inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share. News beyond compare. Stories fresh and bright, bringing truth to light. Every story counts. Watch the views amount. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share. News beyond compare. In the fast-paced stream, we're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share. News beyond compare. Breaking news right now. Turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts. We inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share. News beyond compare. Stories fresh and bright. We're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts. We inform your heart. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Breaking news, trust the word we share. News beyond compare. Headlines top the charts. We inform your heart. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Breaking news, trust the words we share. Fresh and bright, beyond compare. Truth to light, every story counts. Watch the views arise. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. In the fast-paced stream, we're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. You much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. We inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Stories fresh and bright, bringing truth to light. Every story counts. Watch the views amount. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. In the fast-paced stream, we're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Breaking news right now. Turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts. We inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share. News beyond compare. Every story counts. Watch the views amount. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share. News beyond compare. In the fast-paced stream, we're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share. News beyond compare. Breaking news right now. Turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts. We inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share. News beyond compare. Every story counts. Watch the views amount. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share. News beyond compare. In the fast-paced stream, we're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share. News beyond compare. Breaking news right now. Turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts. We inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share. News beyond compare. Watch the views amount. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. In the fast-paced stream, we're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Breaking news right now, turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts, we inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Every story counts. Watch the views amount. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. In the fast-paced stream, we're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Breaking news right now, turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts, we inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Every story counts. Watch the views amount. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. In the fast-paced stream, we're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts. We inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share. News beyond compare.
I'll turn my scanner down.
Okay, it's right on the screen.
Right.
Turn. Okay, talk.
Talking.
Okay, click here. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's what.
It's just delayed.
Right, I gotcha. I just want to make sure that we're reading.
Right. My poor girl always has bug eyes.
Male subject, black shirt, brown shorts, walking south of exit 11.
Uh-oh, my girl's having a seizure. Oh, she's good now. Uh-oh.
What?
Wonky eyes.
Units in TV area ATL broadcast. Right. 552 in the area of 77 50. 552 is a vehicle all over the roadway. It's going to be a Ford Dart. The roadway caller wants you to ATL if possible.
Well, why don't we have the flight radar map up?
Okay.
Because that's what we're going to be
Well,
covering
I'm saying
first.
on the flight radar, so that's why.
Oh.
That's okay. Nobody can see me doing this in the back.
Well, there was another one. Laurel County. Or London. I think you gotta do a city. I would just try to zoom in on the map. You're by Virginia.
Okay, well, it's hard to tell.
I know, I think maybe zoom out and then get onto the state, then you can go in. See, that's London right up here. There's a blue thing right in the center. I'm pointing on my screen. Keep going to the right. There's a big blue person standing in the middle of the map. That's the airport. So right now the closest one we have is this one that's hovering. This is a helicopter. You see that yellow? That's the one hovering. Kind of going a little bit closer. They're right over the forest right now. Lower?
I see it. I might be short. I'm saying I see it.
That's the one I think we're gonna want to track right now. That's the state police. They cut right through the middle of that forest again. And like even now us talking about like that chopper up. If somebody goes back and sees this video on demand. I guarantee as soon as that reward goes up to 50K, it's gonna be more mayhem.
Yeah.
I mean, just go to a VFW hall. Hey, who wants to go on a field trip?
Yeah.
Alright, let's pull up the scanner. Okay. Uh-oh. It's not picking up the mic. That could be an issue.
You can't hear it.
It's not showing it on there.
But we could hear it. I don't know why. We can hear it. You got the mic on?
Yeah. Well, last time when you could hear me, this was going on.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, I can just hear it.
Okay.
Copy. 1106 one. 1376. You got me on my ABL.
Scared. Weren't they just at a double wide blue trailer yesterday? Well, I'm sure there's
Multiple double wide blue trailers in Kentucky.
It's south, I think. Maybe not. Oh no, to the left. Where you see 75 and Daniel Boone, that's where it is. Lower. See, there it is. What is that guy? Private owner. See? Somebody's taking it into their own hands. Unless we get a specific incident, I don't think we're gonna see more trappers go up. I thought somebody came into our stream. Who is that man? It was an ad. Dang, we already got sniped. Really weird that there's a private person just flying over around that forest. Ickmel's covering, he's got 3,000 watching. It's a 0. It's more like people just have to stumble. Like, I wish we knew how to get some. Like, how did Bobby get that many people in 8
worst, few hours, negative 20.
in 3 days. But I guarantee the tide turns when everyone gets off.
Kentucky ID, break.
You know?
319, go ahead. Charles 179413119. Charles 179413119.
94319. Good lord.
It's 10-4. It's come back to Larry Copa, Joe Williamsburg. Suspended. Reference suspension on DUI. Showing negative 20. Open loss clip.
Well, a DUI call, a suspicious DUI. I don't know if that's out. I got lost, found me some nice men that say they got some moonshine. Next thing I know, how did I get here? I want to know if that was Nixon's daughter yesterday. Do you have a name? Well, she said her father's Richard Nixon, so I don't.
Law enforcement, you can signal 8 Tom 2132. Signal. 347 on the bouncing. 2132.
You could type in here or here. We have more people who come in if anything
In the
happens.
chat?
Yeah. We'll start recording. We have a scanner on in the background and checking
Are you
plates.
sure there's no version of that scanner that's on the web?
It says there is.
Of that one that you're doing? Oh, okay, then you told me it wasn't last.
Well, not where you can put your badge number,
2133.
but there's supposedly a free version.
Okay.
You want me to type that out?
I got it.
347 on the bouncing. 2132.
I didn't catch the name of that street, but we have more shots fired just now.
Okay.
They can't tell the direction, but they kind of have the area. Again, I think this is going to be another thing tonight where we're going to get a bunch of shots fired or
Right.
suspicious
Those
activity.
shots fired at in Kentucky?
Yeah, yep. We're following shots fired at an address right now. I mean, the tricky part is everything that comes in, you've got to tell yourself this is something. This is it. Like the church thing. I don't know why. I don't know if it was somebody that called in. I don't know. So we'll just kind of see. I think it's going to be one of those things where we just have to kind of go all night. If anyone's coming in and just joining us, we're here. We're monitoring the situation. Unfortunately, there's not really much to report on right now. I think it's going to be a situation very similar to, well, I would say I think the first night we really saw this was last night, correct?
Right.
So, we've got tons of, hold on. So we're seeing just a ton of calls coming in. A lot of the times at night. But every call is so severe. You've got a lot of people, you have to remember that you've got a lot of people that are going to be doing copycat things, which in this case would be like shooting or shooting specifically at highway vehicles. You've got people that are just scared. You've got kids that use this opportunity to go out and try to just do, you know, kid-like, teenage-like behavior. So every single call has to be taken seriously at this point. Right now, our best source is using the scanner. So, a lot of people streaming this you've seen have scanners up. I've seen a lot, mostly doing Broadcastify. The reason we don't have a scanner up on our stream right now for you to listen into is because with me working in the fire department, I won't say where obviously, but for a major city, we have apps now on phones that a lot of volunteer departments use. We use in major cities, even though we're not volunteer, we use it. So if there's a 5-alarm fire, you know, box fire, something big like that, we'll get a recording. So I'm using a version that you have to have your actual badge number for. So it's for law enforcement officers, first responders, all that good stuff. I believe the only one that doesn't have a login, like law enforcement, first responders, is military. Obviously that whole thing, we could talk for a half hour on that. But we have a scanner up right now on a cell phone, and we actually hear it a little bit faster than Broadcastify puts it. They have a bit of a lag. So we are going to hear things first, but not that much ahead. Also, Broadcastify, the scanners will sometimes pause or stop. It's their way of kind of going quiet or silent. There's been reports that they're using personal cell phones to speak with each other. But we haven't had a problem with my scanner. It does not stop. We were kicked out of Kentucky State Police for a while. It seems like they're not really having anything up because they're the main ones in charge of the investigation at this point. But last night was a lot of constant calls.
Coming soon to Court TV.
It's the biggest story that we're covering.
He is the boogeyman.
Lori Daybell.
She said, I will have you destroyed.
She's got another murder trial coming up.
But it's going to be very similar to last night. So last night there were a couple people streaming what was going on, because if you're following this, there's not a lot of media presence. That makes it really difficult, and also makes it just concerning as hell if you're a citizen there. You know, a lot of speculation comes into these chats. If you hear anything that we haven't talked about, you can obviously reach out to us. But I think it's going to be very similar to last night. Last night, the scanners were going off constantly. They were all calls that sounded like they could have been, if not the suspect, a definite lead. So the scanner's going off all night. And we saw around 2 to 3 a.m. is when nobody else was reporting on it. And we could still hear the scanner going off. So we're here, not to take over, try to go above anyone else, but, you know, we're here to also give you what we can. We're not really gonna discuss theories at this point.
Zaxby's new chicken finger tacos. One smothered with creamy chipotle ranch.
That would be hectic. We're not doing that. It's hectic enough right now, not having any information. What I can say
November
based off
7th,
of
20
following this for a few days, when we hear a call come in over the scanner, it's a lot better for us to pull up flight radar and see if there's any helicopters in the air. If it's something pretty big, at least during the daytime, we've heard over the scanner they have officers going out there, but we've also seen specific helicopters. I think today has mostly been Kentucky State Police and an Army chopper that would come up in the air, but didn't really look like they were just searching around. It looked like they were on direct paths, and at times they were booking it, and then it looks like they would land or go too low where we can't pick them up anymore. So we're just kind of going to be covering it. I mean, do we hope there's some breaking development? Absolutely. We'll be here for it. If we were to get off and we heard something, hold on, then we'll come back. Right now, the call that just came in was shots fired on Miller Lane, which, you know, we did have that same call yesterday. There was, I don't know if it was the same one, but there was a call that came in. Somebody had an intruder in their home and they could hear them, and somebody fired out the door, the front door. I mean, it's just been constant. So it's too hard to speculate and say, oh, this doesn't sound like him. Oh, I don't think it's it. Whatever is developing, even if we get a call and we cover it and we see that it's not that person, like 2 hours about north of Kentucky, there was, or 2 hours north of London, Kentucky, there was another shooting yesterday that was reported pretty late at night, and it ended up being a guy named Nick or Nicholas. So, but at the time it really sounded like they had something. So if you want to hang out with us, we'll be here for a while. If we do get off, we'll come back on if there's any breaking news and cover it. If we turn our attention away from Kentucky for a moment, there is Hurricane Francine, and that lovely lady has already made landfall. She's here. Hopefully she doesn't stay very long. Hopefully it's a quick little vacation. They did upgrade it to a Category 2 right before it made landfall, even though they were reporting Category 2 last night. It didn't look so horrible. We obviously won't know till after it's gone and you see like more of the cleanup. But lots of wind, very rainy, even when they were in the eye of the storm. Kind of unusual. That's, you know, usually the calm part. When we cover weather, you're not going to be hearing from me very much. You're going to be hearing from my partner, my husband. I am not the best with weather, science. I'm more boots on the ground, military background, fire department. He's the brains of the operation. So that's about it, what we're going to do tonight. It could be really quiet. Could be crazy like last night. This is our first day reporting on this. We have been following it every single day. Usually there's only about 5 hours that we're not watching, and that's in the early morning. But other than that, we're always watching. The nice thing about having this professional scanner is we're going to keep this channel. This is not just for the hurricane, not just for the Manhunt situation. We're going to keep this. Things are crazy. It's crazy hectic times right now, and let's look at the past record here. Things calming down, probably not so much. Things tend to get worse before they get better. Will they get worse than they are now? Let's hope not. But we'll be here, and even if it is a big, horrible story like this Manhunt or another mass shooting or school shooting, we'll still cover it. we're not here to be political, point fingers. It's more to keep people aware. When this situation broke, it was astounding that there was no media coverage. You can find, little news stories that are a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes long, and then these people that stream any breaking news. But if you're in an area or you're not real familiar with YouTube, you're not gonna know. So it's important. Now we've got schools closing, and well, they've been closed in Kentucky, but it looks like they're gonna close tomorrow. Not all, but some. So we'll be here. It's probably just gonna be a busy night listening to the scanner. I'll try to keep it turned down. Unless
we're going to try to find a better way to get the sound from the phone to go through.
Yeah, it's just, there's a free version of the one I use that's available online, and that's very similar to Broadcastify, so it's going to have a little bit of a lag, and if they go off, our scanner would go off as well. But having it on my phone, it does not go off, even if they go quiet or silent or incognito. They can't hide from me. No, but we've got that. It is loud. It does come through the mic, but I'll try to keep it silent. If a situation happens or a big call comes through, something we're going to cover, I'll turn it up. You guys will be able to hear it. It's just a matter of, we'll have to look into a little bit more. There are a lot of people that use, Broadcastify and an online one. The problem with that is we could have ads, we could have it go off the network, and we want to hear. When a lot of people have been having issues with their scanners going in and out, I don't know if it could be because so many people are streaming it off of Broadcastify, or if they're in charge of making it go silent. However that works, I'm not sure. All I know is when Broadcastify has stopped streaming it, mine continues to go. So, and I don't think there is I think there's a version you can get where you don't have to have ads, but that's not the version I have. It's not ads versus no ads. It's, you need to actually have a badge number. You have to have your city give you information. And not every city has it where their officers can have or officers, first responders, whatever they are, can have access to it. I know because I work for a major city, they've started this with us. But what's nice about it is I can set it to certain alerts. So I can have weather, I can have active events. So if anything happens that's not related to the hurricane or to the situation in Kentucky, we will know about it. If it's something we feel we should report on, we will. For example, last night, and like I said, we don't want to get into politics on here, but last night was the debate. And after the debate ended, a lot of people were either talking debate or Kentucky or the impending hurricane. And I get a thing on my scanner saying that there is an active situation in Philadelphia. It was a citywide alert, which tells me it's pretty big. It was for an unruly mob, looting, fires, gunshots. So, of course, I wanted to hear what was going on. And it calmed down after about 2.5, 3 hours, but nobody was reporting on it. If they did see it on like X or something, they couldn't find audio or any live feed. Though I didn't have live feed, I did have the live audio, which, I mean, technically is a feed, but I was able to hear what was going on. And I did let some people know, and that's where I discovered that though I could tell them I could hear it on mine, I realized that without having the version I have or going to Broadcastify, they couldn't hear what was going on. So I'm not saying anyone else's reporting is, you know, bad or anything, but we just have a one different piece of, I guess, material we can work with. So we'll stay tuned. We'll just kind of have the scanner going, listen in. If we get an exact location, we can look it up on Google Earth. We can keep the flight radar up, and we can kind of try to figure out what's going on, and even try to pinpoint them, try to find them in real time on the map. Look at the area, look where they're at. As far as we know, let's talk about what we've heard so far. Not with this case in Kentucky, but what we've heard today. All we knew about today was supposedly there would be another press conference at 3 p.m., same time as yesterday and the day before, and then they canceled it. So, not telling us very much. That could mean they're honing in more, or, you know, just simply aren't going to waste the time to do a press conference, a presser, if there's nothing to report. But the main thing I'm focusing in on is they said that, you know, at night they can obviously use thermal and IR, infrared, but we don't really see them up at night. I think Saturday and Sunday night we kind of would see them circle around that Daniel Boone National Forest. They've really, as far as daytime activity, we still haven't really seen them go much farther than that exit 49. They still, based on what we're seeing, I mean, we haven't heard anyone talk in a presser today, but they're still believing that he's within a mile of that exit 49 where the shooting occurred off of I-75. And I would say it was around 12:15 to 12:30 that everything started to really pop off. So we'll just kind of be here. I'll have the scanner up, and yeah, see, the scanner's starting to pick up for sure. Okay, so they just said Whitley City, which I'm looking on the flight radar map. Whitley City's right here. That looks pretty dang far from London. I mean, not far, but not super close. Not within a mile of exit 49, let's put it that way. Yeah, Whitley City. And if anyone is, you know, in here that's from Kentucky, I mean, please, if you know the distance or the time, miles, whatever. I mean, I know we can look it up, but unless it's a major situation and something we're going to keep pursuing, we'll just wait and hear what the final verdict of that call is. But put in the chat where you're watching from. Let us know you're here. Let us know if you have something you want us to pull up, whether it's a Facebook post, a tweet, anything like that. Let us know if there's something, or if you're just trying to catch up on information. Feel free to ask us questions, and we'll try to answer them with what information we do have available. Turn this up a little bit.
Broadcast it on there if you want to. I mean, I know you use it. Are you doing okay with that?
I'm alright with it. I might get nothing. I don't know if they said Disney Drive.
Well, it sound like this.
I mean, I just don't know if I want anyone to get a person. I don't want to advertise it for everyone. What if you do main active scene? I know that that's loud. That comes in for as like a certain alert sound. So that call that just came through after the really loud siren alert, like the klaxon sound, that was for somebody that fell off an embankment. It wasn't me, shockingly. If I was there, I'm like, you know, covering this, I would say, yeah, send help. It's probably me, but...
It's my part of my fault. I'm trying to get it all. You might explain. We're still working out the technical difficulties.
Alright, so the call that you hear coming through over the scanner right now was a call for somebody that fell off an embankment. They're now sending rescue out there. They said it was at a campground and he fell off a cliff or a ledge and he's bleeding from his head. It does not sound like this is our guy, Mr. Joseph Couch. Joey C. I don't think it's Joey C. But this person, they said, sounds like he has dementia, so I'm guessing it's an older male. We did have a situation that sounded like it could have been Mr. Joey C. the other day. Somebody that was kind of young, acting all crazy and, like, not crazy, but kind of confused, and they thought could have been dehydrated or malnourished, and found out that, and he was young too, and found out he just had, he was diabetic, so had low sugar. So, see, all these calls can really sound like it's something, and that's what makes it so difficult. And I think that's what people are getting annoyed about, is all these calls come through and it actually sounds like it's something, and people stay up and then it turns out to be nothing. But, I mean, someone's got to cover it, so we'll be here. Hopefully you'll be here with us. And if you see us kind of messing around with our stream, this is our first night really doing this. We've streamed other stuff before, but we're kind of just trying to make sure we have as much information for you guys as possible, and that's also including sources. So if you guys tell us to check out an article that was up on X or, you know, Kentucky State Police Facebook page, we can quickly pull that up for you. So we're just trying to kind of work through the kinks and figure out, I mean, we have everything set up, but kind of just playing around with it. But in the meantime, we're just listening in. If you hear anything and you want us to cover it, or you have questions, put it in the chat. And when I have the scanner up, anytime a call comes through, I mean, if it's obviously relevant or anything like that, I'll relay it, because I don't know how great you guys can hear it. It's always very loud on my end, coming through the phone. Or if you guys miss part of it, sometimes it is very hard to understand. I think it's easier if you live in that area. You kind of understand the accents better. Which makes hearing the radio easier. Or if you know of the area, then you might recognize the name of the road or the area that they're in. Like this call about the person that fell off the ledge, I swear it said Disney Street. I don't know if that's what it was, but you know, if anyone is local or knows that, you can obviously put it in there. We'll pull it up on the map and try to get a picture of, like, the campground, or earlier they were at a church, and we can pull up, you know, that. Shit's gonna get real interesting around 12:30 when this scanner starts going off like crazy and I take 2 edibles. I was gonna say, I mean, you've only got me in here and you in here right now. If you wanted to run the bath, I could go shop. Or should I see what?
We just stay on for a little bit. We may come back on wherever. I don't know.
If it starts getting.
Yeah. I don't know why. It's frustrating.
Would it be easier to pull up X and keep refreshing it for updates?
I can't get in there. I logged in. I did the human thing that says try again later. It says I did the human. There's his. There's his wanted poster or whatever.
Oh. Oh, so they can't see that. it went to 0. I mean, that makes no sense. We're both on it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think mine's off right now, so I'm messing with this. So.
Oh.
Yeah, I get this figured out. The whole browser thing, it's gotta be smoother than that. So I don't know.
Okay, so if you're listening to the scanner, we had a call that just came through. This is what I'm talking about. At night, it pops off. It gets crazy. The call that just came through now was for, it sounded like they said, a 29-year-old male. They don't have complete verification on that, but getting real hostile, sounding a little confused or mental or aggravated, so they're sending someone out there right away. Multiple officers out there right now, so we'll see the development on that. Probably not our guy Joey C, but we'll see. We should have had his sound drop the breaking news. Yeah. Okay, so it's that same call about that 29-year-old male. He's being real hostile and aggressive. Says he's having a heart attack. So they have law enforcement officers and fire dispatched out there right now. And they're still on their way to that call earlier with the man that fell off the cliff or the ledge. There you go.
I think it was the browser I was using. I was trying to use Opera because Opera's supposed to block ads, but I think that was the whole problem.
You can't get fancy with these. You
Yeah.
gotta go basic.
I guess. See,
And you try to go too fancy.
I try to fix it so people won't have to watch ads, and that's what I get.
There's people with over 1,000 viewers that don't do anything.
I know. I thought.
Alright, so there's two calls out right now. If you're just tuning in or you need a recap, there's a older gentleman that fell off a cliff or a ledge and is bleeding from the head, possibly has dementia, is very confused. They have people on their way to him now. And then we have another call that just came through about... Hold on. About 2 to 3 minutes ago for a 29-year-old male, hostile, angry, says he's having a heart attack, but isn't giving up much information. So they're sending fire and law enforcement officers out to his house. So in the meantime, we're going to still keep covering that on the scanner. If anything comes up where, we'll be checking in on the flight radar and stuff. But for right now, we just want to play a little clip, so far of where they're at, what information they've given us from Court TV. So you guys can just watch that with us while we get more information coming in and follow it up. Earlier I said that, last night things got crazy around 12:15, 12:30 in the morning. The scanner was almost nonstop. And a lot of things that sounded like they could have been the guy we're looking for, could have been a lead, could have been some type of pertinent information. Obviously with us not getting a presser, like a press conference this afternoon, they canceled it. Not getting a press conference, we don't really know where they're at. They didn't even say why they canceled it. So we're kind of left to our own devices again to try to figure out what's going on.
Meantime, we are going to shift gears and look at a case out of Kentucky where police are going through jungle-like terrain with machetes in search for a suspect who opened fire near Interstate 75 over the weekend.
Suspect Joseph Couch has been on the run for 4 days. He faces multiple attempted murder and assault charges for allegedly shooting.
So we've got that.
In the meantime, we are going to.
I'll have the scanner on kind of quiet in the background so you guys can hear the news report. And then if anything comes in, we'll just pause the report and update you. But we'll just kind of play that for now.
Shift gears and look at a case out of Kentucky where police are going through jungle-like terrain with machetes in search for a suspect who opened fire near Interstate 75 over the weekend.
Suspect Joseph Couch has been on the run for 4 days. He faces multiple attempted murder and assault charges for allegedly shooting and wounding 5 people. Investigators say that he sent a text message vowing to, quote, kill a lot of people shortly before the shooting.
Scripps News Kentucky obtained several of the 911 calls from the day of the shooting and has this update on the search for this suspect.
The gunshot wounds in her side here. She's starting to go numb on me. She's starting to black out on my left hip.
Any of the first responders out there that you can flag?
No, I don't see nobody. I'm laying down the leaves. She's trying to stay on his gun. Yeah, she's shot in the side.
When they called and said we have an active shooter, didn't believe it. My heart sank because it's like, they said this is real. People's been injured.
Tonight in Laurel County, the manhunt continues for Joseph Couch, the man who police believe pulled the trigger, injuring several people Saturday. Kentucky State Police are heading up the search, but London police were among the first on scene and are still involved.
We have been canvassing the outer perimeter and then any potential areas that he might have been. We've also increased patrols throughout those areas and in the city just to make sure that the citizens of London are safe.
A $10,000 and $5,000 reward have been offered for information.
If he's watching this, we hope that he turns himself in peacefully. And then if any of the citizens out there spot him, we ask that you do not approach. You call 911 and let our officers know any information that you have about him.
London Mayor Randall Weddle says it's going to take every agency, every citizen to move past this horrific incident.
Let's come together and let's get through this together because we have to do this as a community.
Still with us, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Marie Pereira. Okay, Marie, a scary situation there. They've closed down the schools. Thankfully, the 5 people that he shot, they survived, but just a very scary situation to say the least.
It really is, and when you really think about it, I read up on this. This guy purchased the gun legally, and he purchased 1,000 rounds of ammunition. So he's ready. He's hiding out now. I believe they're going to find a body in the woods, and he's probably going to kill himself. Because what else does he have to live for? They know who he is. They're looking for him. He didn't even accomplish, thank God, what his claim to fame, what he wanted it to be. Gun control is the issue. You see, he purchased it legally. They sold him all that ammunition, but why does he even have that type of rifle that he could hide from on top of a bridge or wherever and shoot at people who are driving by? Nobody should have guns like that. For what?
Is there more that you want to know about this suspect that you think may even be helpful? Because we know these officers, investigators, the feds are involved. They are combing through his background to see if they can figure out where he would want to go, what his capabilities are. But is there more that we would need to know just to understand this horrific story, the tragedy, which I think is compounded right now because you have schools that are closed in search for this person because they don't want someone who's on the loose shooting people with this intent. I mean, it is gripping this entire area.
I think they need to apprehend him, and I think, yes, it would be good to speak to his people to say, okay, does he have a place that he usually likes to go? Is he, avid in doing this? Can he create fires in the wood? Is he a hunter? Is he a camper? Where's he hiding out? That would help, but at the end of the day, there's no more we need to know. He needs to be apprehended. If we're lucky, and I hate to say this, maybe he'll take out himself, because really, what else does he have to live for at this point? Because his life is over. And I don't think he cared about his life, because who does that? I don't think he has a history of mental illness. And even if he did, what's done is done. He needs to be apprehended, locked up, shackled, put away. That's what needs to happen. And the family needs to help, like you said, to tell us about him. Where could he be? What are his resources? How can we apprehend him? They need to do everything they could to make sure this man is off the street, because he could come out and shoot more people. This is terrible. Too many guns. 1,000 rounds of ammunition. For what?
Marie, some text messages before the shootings that we have obtained, and he said, quote, "I'm going to kill a lot of people, well, try at least, and then also I'll kill myself afterwards." So, yeah, just, like you said, maybe they will find him somewhere in the woods. Maybe he did kill himself, but hopefully we're just not going to end up seeing more shootings.
The shootings are going to continue to happen because the guns are being manufactured. They're putting it out there into society, and mostly in America, because in other countries you don't see this happening as often. There needs to be legislation to control the guns in the hands of the people it ends up in. It's not even an issue of, okay, we need to, just enough with the guns, because he purchased it legally. He purchased 1,000 rounds of ammunition. You have to ask yourself, what society do we live in that allows that type of purchase of an automatic weapon with that amount of bullets to go in the weapon? To do what? No good could come from that. That's where legislation in Congress needs to start. Listen, I'm no Philip Dubé, and I can't quote congressional laws, which I know he could, but I know this is wrong, and they need to get the guns off the streets. The mass production of these types of weapons. It's not just like a little two-shooter. Weapons that allow you to murder people in a minute. Hundreds of people. Why do we need weapons like this? I don't get it.
It's a debate that continues in this country. Every time we see an incident like this, there's a debate that starts with two sides saying that it's the people that need to be regulated, the people that have this murderous intent, that it's not the guns, and then there's the argument that it is the guns and whether or not people obtain them illegally or legally. Maria, I do want to shift our focus back to what actually is happening there in London and talk about the search as it continues. We know there's a press conference that's happening.
Compiling this database of all, like, thousands of traffic cameras, all of our storm chasers, yada, yada, yada. And it automatically updates the locations. But I forgot that that also needs to update on the UI, so you guys can see.
At this point, are just kind of going to wait for updates.
So it's a simple fix. It's just
what the Kentucky State
we needed to go live
we haven't heard anything from
to know that needed to happen,
or the governor in there. There's conflicting reports. Somebody reported
no confirmed tornadoes yet. No, we have had a couple of tornado warnings.
The governor, and he said that his exact
but nothing
quote,
confirmed.
Quote was, "I signed a state of emergency Monday morning at 8 a.m." But nobody else has reported that.
Dang, Ryan, you had one job.
Very conflicting reports.
Yeah.
So any of these calls could be something related to this. Even if it's a call about a female or an elderly person, something like that. a home broken, anything right now could be either this person or somebody that knows something or saw something. So it really picked up around 12:15 to 12:30 last night. So I'm wondering if it's going to be like that again tonight. We'll see. It was very, very active. Very active. So we will cover that.
We haven't lost any Dollar Generals.
As long as it's still
go ahead, Andy.
giving us a ton of information or a ton of calls.
Hey Ryan, I just saw a bit of confusion on why, given that there were some 75, 78 mile an hour wind gusts in at the New Orleans International Airport.
He purchased it legally.
Why wouldn't they be?
He purchased 1,000 rounds of ammunition. You have to ask yourself, what society do we live in that allows that type of purchase?
A hurricane warning, but a tropical storm warning for the area is because a hurricane warning needs to have the wind speeds that qualify a storm as a hurricane to be sustained in an area. So even though you can get gusts of hurricane force winds up to 80 miles an hour, in this case for New Orleans over in Metairie, that does not qualify as a hurricane warning because it is not a sustained wind, which means it's consistently blowing at that speed. So you guys are getting 50 mile an hour winds sustained, and you are hearing that. That's right in the middle of a tropical storm criteria. So there are, unfortunately, a lot of people angry at the National Weather Service about that, and I found it quite odd. So I figured I would clarify that, yes, residents who are going through it in New Orleans may not understand why their wording is not so, extremely significant for the winds that they're hearing, but there is a, this has been the same practice for a very long time for what qualifies for a tropical storm warning and what constitutes a hurricane warning. So I would hope that there's no malice against the National Weather Service for just doing what they do.
So far, we'll be playing the little news report courtesy
meteorologist
of
Andy
Court
Hill.
TV for you.
Of an automatic weapon with that amount of bullets to go in the weapon to do what? No good could come from that. That's where legislation and Congress needs to.
Meantime, we are going to shift gears and look at a case out of Kentucky where police are going through jungle-like terrain with machetes in search for a suspect who opened fire near Interstate 75 over the weekend.
Suspect Joseph Couch has been on the run for 4 days. He faces multiple attempted murder and assault charges for allegedly shooting and wounding 5 people. Investigators say that he sent a text message vowing to, quote, kill a lot of people shortly before the shooting.
Scripps News Kentucky obtained several of the 911 calls from the day of the shooting and has this update on the search for this suspect.
So we gunshot wound to her side here. She's starting to go around on me. She's starting to black out on me.
Any of the first responders out there you can find?
No, I don't see nobody. I'm right now with me. She's trying to stay on the gun. She's shot in the side.
When they called said we have an active shooter, didn't believe it. My heart sank because it's like they said this is real. People's been injured.
Tonight in Laurel County, the manhunt continues for Joseph Couch, the man who police believe pulled the trigger, injuring several people Saturday. Kentucky State Police are heading up the search, but London police were among the first on scene and are still involved.
We have been canvassing the outer perimeter and then any potential areas that he might have been. We've also increased patrols throughout those areas and in the city just to make sure that the citizens of London are safe.
A $10,000 and $5,000 reward have been offered for information.
If he's watching this, we hope that he turns himself in peacefully. And then if any of the citizens out there spot him, we ask that you do not approach. You call 911 and let our officers know any information that you have about him.
London Mayor Randall Weddle says it's going to take every agency, every citizen to move past this horrific incident.
Let's come together and let's get through this together because we have to do this as a community.
Still with us, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Marie Pereira. Okay, Marie, a scary situation there. They've closed down the schools. Thankfully, the 5 people that he shot, they survived, but just a very scary situation to say the least.
It really is, and when you really think about it, I read up on this. This guy purchased the gun legally, and he purchased 1,000 rounds of ammunition. So he's ready. He's hiding out now. I believe they're going to find a body in the woods, and he's probably going to kill himself. Because what else does he have to live for? They know who he is. They're looking for him. He didn't even accomplish, thank God, what his claim to fame, what he wanted it to be. Gun control is the issue. You see, he purchased it legally. They sold him all that ammunition. But why does he even have that type of rifle that he could hide from on top of a bridge or wherever and shoot at people who are driving by? Nobody should have guns like that. For what?
Is there more that you want to know about this suspect that you think may even be helpful? Because we know these officers, investigators, the feds are involved. They are combing through his background to see if they can figure out where he would want to go, what his capabilities are. But is there more that we would need to know just to understand this horrific story, the tragedy, which I think is compounded right now because you have schools that are closed in search for this person because they don't want someone who's on the loose shooting people with this intent. I mean, it is gripping this entire area.
Go ahead, Andy.
I think they need to apprehend him, and I think, yes, it would be good to speak to his people to say, okay, does he have a place that he usually likes to go? Is he, avid in doing this? Can he create fires in the wood? Is he a hunter? Is he a camper? Where's he hiding out? That would help, but at the end of the day, there's no more we need to know. He needs to be apprehended. If we're lucky, and I hate to say this, maybe he'll take out himself, because really, what else does he have to live for at this point? Because his life is over. And I don't think he cared about his life, because who does that? I don't think he has a history of mental illness. And even if he did, what's done is done. He needs to be apprehended, locked up, shackled, put away. That's what needs to happen. And the family needs to help, like you said, to tell us about him. Where could he be? What are his resources? How can we apprehend him? They need to do everything they could to make sure this man is off the street, because he could come out and shoot more people. This is terrible. Too many guns. 1,000 rounds of ammunition. For what?
Marie, some text messages before the shootings that we have obtained, and he said, quote, "I'm going to kill a lot of people. Well, try at least. And then also, I'll kill myself afterwards." So, yeah, just, like you said, maybe they will find him somewhere in the woods. Maybe he did kill himself, but hopefully we're just not going to end up seeing more shootings.
The shootings are going to continue to happen because the guns are being manufactured. They're putting it out there into society, and mostly in America, because in other countries, you don't see this happening as often. There needs to be legislation to control the guns in the hands of the people it ends up in. It's not even an issue of, okay, we need to, just enough with the guns, because he purchased it legally. He purchased 1,000 rounds of ammunition. You have to ask yourself, what society do we live in that allows that type of purchase of an automatic weapon with that amount of bullets to go in the weapon? To do what? No good could come from that. That's where legislation in Congress needs to start. Listen, I'm no Philip Dubé, and I can't quote congressional laws, which I know he could, but I know this is wrong, and they need to get the guns off the street. The mass production of these types of weapons. It's not just like a little two-shooter. Weapons that allow you to murder people in a minute, hundreds of people. Why do we need weapons like this? I don't get it.
It's a debate that continues in this country every time we see an incident.
Okay, so if you've been watching the Court TV video, we're still here monitoring the scanner. And there seems like they're on a call right now for a suspicious vehicle. So we're just kind of going to wait to hear about more of that and what's going on. I spoke about it a little bit earlier. If you're just joining us, I mean, people are going to kind of just trickle in. A lot of it's going to be repeating. But I'll try not to, stay on one part too long. There's a lot of information that you can already find. What we're focusing on right now is that last night at around 12:15 to 12:30, there was a huge surge in calls. And obviously the types of calls that were coming in was not just traffic calls. A lot of it was shots fired. One person heard someone moving in their home, and then that person fired out the door. So a lot of these calls, it could be copycats. It could be the Joey C we're looking for. We're not sure. Everything has to be investigated at this point. But what was intriguing is that around 12:15 to 12:30, when people stopped really covering this, the scanner went crazy. And even when people were kind of still covering it at around the midnight, 1 o'clock hour, it was going crazy. So even if they don't find him tonight, these calls could be related to it. It could be somebody that found a clue that he was there, or they found some type of evidence. It could be a sighting. We don't know. And it could just be a random shooting. There was a shooting last night about about 2 hours north of London. Okay, so we have something now that we were a little bit confused on. And we'll talk about this. I'll share this article with you guys so you can see it. But we'll also share it again later if more people come in. So one thing that was very confusing is we haven't heard anything from the governor. We do know that the person who is like the emergency manager, they were fired before the shooting occurred. Not long before. They're supposed to have an interim person, whether they pull them from another department, or they're really supposed to have somebody lined up to take that position. But they had nobody that was an emergency manager when this occurred. But right now, the person who can do that, they have to allow a local government official. So the judge executive, David Westerfield, told Kentucky 56 News on Monday morning at 8 a.m. he declared a state of emergency.
Almost 48 hours after.
Almost 48 hours after the first shots occurred. So what that is that's a good thing, because when a state of emergency is issued, they can bring in more law enforcement agencies. They can bring in more, I guess, just stuff that you could really use to help aid in the investigation. Whether it's bringing in search and rescue teams, drones, helicopters, specific cameras like infrared or thermal, FLIR cameras, anything like that, they can do it. Okay, that was just a medical call that came through. So the state of emergency is also good, because then part of the resources they can call in is National Guard. And in this situation, the more people we have looking, the better. Whether he's found deceased, whether he's captured alive, whether they capture evidence of where he could have gone, it's all important. So that's what the news story reported. And we were able to pull it from that news website, and they were the only ones that reported on a state of emergency. And then we never heard anything. So with yesterday being Tuesday, we were asking ourselves, how is there a state of emergency, but the state police, Laurel County, City of London, they're not giving us any confirmation that there is a state of emergency. And instead of going back to which we could pull up later, the original article we found from that news station was like 56, Kentucky 56 or whatever. It was Fox 56, I'm sorry. But what we have pulled up that we can share with you is another article from Yahoo News. And it looks like it's from a reporter out of Louisville. And it says here, I'll read it for you guys. It's nothing that we really got to show, but I will read it for you guys. It says, state of emergency declared in search for Joseph Couch in Kentucky shooting. This was issued, the article came out today at 5:45. So that's after there would have been a press conference, stuff like that. It says, Laurel County officials have declared a state of emergency in response to the shooting Saturday that left 5 people wounded and 12 cars riddled with bullet holes. The country-level state of emergency allows the local government to pull from the state and federal level for items needed in the search. It went into effect Monday at 8 a.m. and will stay in place until the incident is over, at which time they'll end the declaration. Doesn't say much more other than that. It's great that now we have a second source saying that Judge Executive David Westerfield did release that. But at the same time, we're not hearing it from any news source. I don't see a lot of people in Kentucky saying that they received an alert on their phone. They haven't canceled hunting, which hunting season started on Sunday. So we could have a lot of hunters out there. They did close down all traffic on several miles of a national recreation trail. Kind of right in that area. It's at the Sheltowee Trace National Recreation Trail. And if I butchered that, I'm sorry, I'm not from Kentucky, obviously. But that's about it. Very random. If there is a state of emergency, nobody knows. If there is a real one out in place, none of the civilians know. Nobody's really reporting on it. And you'd think they'd have, especially with a state of emergency, that they would have people looking day and night. And maybe going a little bit out past that 1 mile. But who am I? I don't live there. I don't work there. I don't know their operations. Obviously, people are scared and not really happy with how this was handled, but it is a small town, and maybe they've not had something of this caliber, no pun intended. So, you know, even if you've never had something like this, putting out constant updates to the people in that community, never a bad thing. There is no information that there is, but they have not, nor do I think will they put out information that could make this guy move, or if someone's helping him could aid him. Nothing like that. To say, they've said where they're searching, but just checking in, even if you come up to the microphone to say, I have no updates, we'll let you guys know if we hear anything, just makes people feel better. Just the fact that you're inviting media and reporters to ask questions that they might have, even if they can't answer it at that time, it's still making people feel like they're still in this. They're giving it all, their all, which I'm sure they are, but you gotta give people peace of mind. And have they been doing that? Not real well, but let's hope that together, people that are covering this, whether they're local and live there, whether it's streamers that are running scanners and keeping tabs on things, hopefully more people can feel a little bit safer. And you've got to remember, there's people that live off the grid in these areas, like in Tennessee and Kentucky. So those people may not know. And there's people in that area that also, even if they don't live off the grid, maybe they don't have the best internet, or maybe they are not too tech savvy and know to go to YouTube and see that people are streaming stuff about this. So maybe the only thing they've had access to is what they hear from the news station. So if we can get the word out there of different things that are going on, even if they know to stay out of that area, or if they have a family or friend that they know in that area, they can call them. So hopefully, I think it's going to be the community and just outside people that really are not just the ones reporting, but are also just being there for each other. Because these people want to feel heard. Kids can't go to school. Some of the school systems aren't equipped that they have a bunch of, Chromebooks that they can just hand out to kids. So everyone's being affected by this, and the state's losing a lot of money. It's expensive to have manhunts like this and to have everyone working around the clock. So hopefully they can catch this guy soon. They said that they believe he's still in that 1 mile radius of that exit. I would hope that if they had information, that they could at least say, we have information, we have proof he's still around. I don't expect to hear what proof they have, but it would be nice. So we're here, we're listening to the scanner, we're kind of looking for more articles that we can share with you. If something comes up on the scanner, or if we see an article with some new information that we haven't covered yet, we'll hop on, we'll be on, but, we'll come on the mic and let you know. I'll run the scanner in the background for a bit. You guys will be able to hear it. And then if a call comes in and it's a little choppy, I'll try to translate what the call was. So we'll have that playing for you guys in the background. Uncle Rico's done. Hey! Okay, so if you're here with us, this is what I was talking about earlier. Last night around 12:15, 12:30 in the morning, everything popped off on the scanner. It was non-stop till about 3:30 in the morning. And right now we're starting to see it's happening again. We had just 2 calls within the past 3 minutes, if that. We have one older woman that was assaulted by her son. Apparently he's trying to kill her. And it was a third party that called. so it wasn't the woman that was being attacked. So we've got crews going out there. Let's see what happens with that. We also have another call about at a campsite or campground, cabin, something like that. There's another guy that was found. So they're going out to the scene of both of those, and we'll just kind of have to wait and see. If the addresses come through again, I will try to pull it up, or we will try to pull it up on the map. But for right now, the best thing to do is listen and see what happens and follow up with these calls. So we are here. We're reporting on it. Some calls come in really clear. Some are just a hot mess. If you're joining us, please feel free to put in the chat what state you're in. Anybody that's in Kentucky might really be able to help us out with the area and trying to even figure out what they're saying. We can figure out the calls, but sometimes the addresses, when we don't live in that area, is a little bit difficult. But we're going to keep reporting on it. Like I said, 2 big calls just came through. So we're going to have to kind of wait to hear the outcome. I'm guessing that a lot of it, these calls are a little bit tricky getting to some of these places with all the hills and stuff like that. Haven't heard anything about them looking in the woods, during the night tonight, searching anywhere specific. We don't see any helicopters up right now. Pretty quiet over that area. It's just the scanner keeps popping off, so we just gotta follow it. So for the one call with the crazy guy, they got there and he came out, said he wants to speak to an attorney, and then walked back inside. So they're working on that one, but that's what that update was. I didn't understand that article that you just had. He said they could be coming on. They've been flying. Nothing is concrete. It keeps showing up on mine. Do you want to remove?
Oh, okay. I always miss that.
Don't miss AAA's Louisville Vacation Expo, Sunday, September 22nd, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Holiday Inn Louisville East. Admission is free. Meet travel vendors, book with advisors, and save on trips. Attend vacation seminars and register to win great prizes.
We're starting at 6 with our coverage as WHAS 11 News is still in southeastern Kentucky, where we've been all week long. Hello, everybody. I'm Doug Proffitt. This just in. We're learning the governor is going to that zone in tomorrow. We'll tell you more about that in just a second. But right here tonight, law enforcement officials have been searching the Daniel Boone National Forest for 5 days now. They still haven't found the man who they say opened fire on I-75 in southeastern Kentucky Saturday night. Once again, this is the man they're looking for, 32-year-old Joseph Couch, who lives not far from what was the shooting zone. Kentucky State Police say he randomly shot several vehicles Saturday evening with an AR-15, injuring 5 motorists, some of them badly hurt. WHAS 11's Ian Hardwick and photojournalist Emma Gefter are once again in Laurel County.
From the helicopters circling overhead to the third day of silent closed schools, the manhunt is still underway for Joseph Couch.
If I had to sum it up in one word, it would be fear.
Laurel County Judge Executive David Westerfield called a state of emergency Monday morning, bringing state and federal law enforcement into the small community.
The National Guard has not been here yet, but I'm thinking that here shortly, if this don't get resolved, then they'll be coming in
I don't know if
to
that's
help
just
as well.
landing areas,
However,
refueling
Westerfield said
areas,
that's
but
ultimately
there's no one else
KSP's
right
decision.
now.
They've yet to expand
There
their
are
already
some
vast
calls
search
that we
area,
just had
thousands
come
of acres.
through. We had about 3 come in
The
within
U.S.
15
Forest Service
minutes.
closed several parts of Chautawi Trail,
we're still
including
waiting
this
kind
one
of
near
for the
Daniel
update
Boone
of
National
that.
Forest. KSP still believes Couch
we
is
hear
out
the call
here
that comes
somewhere.
out, and then
This stretches miles
hear the
all the way
result of
over
that
to
call
exit
on
49, where it all began.
Court documents from the
also
Laurel County
keeping an
Sheriff's
eye
investigation into the
on
I-75
any
shooting
news
on Saturday
articles that
accused
pop up,
Couch
but
of
I'm
firing
sure we
down
do
at cars
something
from
with the
alleged
scanner
bordering the
first.
forest
But on
overlooking
our
the interstate.
screen,
Less
we
than 30 minutes
also-
before,
so
the
flight
Sheriff's
radar
office
is what
received
you're
a
seeing
tip
in the
about a
middle.
text Couch sent
That
saying he
little
would,
weather
quote, kill a
radar
lot of
at the
people.
bottom
An hour
left,
later,
that's
officers
also
recovered a
kinda
vehicle
showing
registered to Couch near the shooting.
a
By
little preview
8:41 that night, Center Target Firearms
what
in
it's
London
looking
told
like
police
down in
Couch purchased an
Louisiana, in that area
AR-15
down in
along
the
with 1,000
south,
rounds of
as
ammo
far
the
as-
very same day as the shooting. Visiting the store Wednesday, we tried asking
As far
questions,
as,
but they referred us to law
what's
enforcement.
going on with
At
the
Tuesday's press
hurricane.
conference, Sheriff John Root said he can't comment on the active investigation.
And really right now we can't elaborate a whole lot on the evidence that's been collected.
So now fear is paired with uncertainty about whether Couch is dead
the
or
call that
alive or if
just
he's
came
still in the
through a
area
couple
at all.
seconds ago,
In Laurel County, Ian Hardwick, WHAS 11, on your side.
Which is
Well, Kentucky State Police did not provide an update today. They police and state police and local police have been talking since Sunday, but nothing today. Again, Governor Andy Beshear is planning to visit law enforcement in Laurel County early tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. WHAS 11 is staying there in London and area as we have been all week. We'll have coverage for you
They're
tomorrow.
just kind of looking around for that. So when we hear what's called 10 codes, like 1037, 1030, most commonly everyone knows 10-4 is like affirmative, okay. I have a list of the codes, so I will be able to provide those for you. It's the pretty standard list for 10 codes, but if it differs from city to city for like a certain code, or if it's, highway patrol reporting in, they sometimes have a couple different
Don't
codes.
miss AAA's Louisville
Even just
Vacation
the area.
Expo, Sunday, September
So,
22nd, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Holiday Inn Louisville
Some I
East.
might
Admission
not
is
know
free.
exactly
Meet travel
what that
vendors,
code
book
is.
with advisors, and save on trips. Attend vacation seminars and register to win great prizes.
Some calls come through really, really good, and you'll be able to hear it as great as I do. If it sounds kind of
We're starting at 6 with our coverage as WHAS 11 News.
I think it's the thick accent, the drawl, I think. Okay, so now we have something out of Hardin County. I believe that's what it is, Hardin County, which they were active yesterday. I know they were in like Hart County, which my scanner said like Hart County / Hardin County. And that's where that copycat was yesterday that fired at vehicles on the interstate. But they got that guy. That was the Nicholas Noyes guy, and they got him. Okay, so we have more shots fired at a location they just left. And a female's calling in saying more shots are ringing out, but she can't see from where. Very similar to the calls that came out Saturday. This is what I'm talking about. Last night, around 12:15, 12:30, there was a huge surge in calls. And they were all what sounded like could have been something related to this or somebody that had information. All the calls were intense. There were maybe just a handful that were something where we knew immediately it wasn't related to it. Like medical calls or something, like there were traffic call. But they went to a scene earlier where there was shots fired and they could hear it, and they searched the property and said, negative, they couldn't find anything. And the woman felt okay because the cops came out there and couldn't find anything, but she just called back that now shots are ringing out again. So they're going to have to go right back over. So we'll see what goes on with that. But this is what I'm saying. It's like, you think it's going to be quiet, you get off. Last night we weren't streaming. This is our first night streaming for y'all, but we were listening to the scanner and following things on our end, just not streaming it. And let me tell you, it was nonstop. Nonstop. Till probably about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I believe between like 7:30 and 8 o'clock, they'll be up there. Possibly 9 o'clock the latest, they'll be out there searching again.
Transition over this article. It's about the National Guard.
Okay. So we're gonna transition over a little video for you.
A couple hours ago.
This is as new as we have, but this is from a couple hours ago, and this is kind of discussing the National Guard perspective of this. Which, before we play that, I'll just kind of update with what we have, which is Kentucky 56 News reached out to Judge Executive David Westerfield out of Laurel County. And he said that on Monday morning at 8 a.m., he issued a state of emergency, which allows this smaller department to bring in state and federal resources, such as helicopters, cameras, drones, even more manpower. And that's great. We want a state of emergency. We want the governor to call in the National Guard. So when we saw that article come out, we were asking ourselves, well, why hasn't this been said in a press conference that a state of emergency has been issued? Why aren't people receiving a state of emergency alert on their phone if they live in the area or even live in the state? Nobody said that they're bringing in the National Guard or have brought in the National Guard. We have seen National Guard helicopters during the day. We don't know. I mean, yeah, they could be kind of searching over. They could be dropping off boots on the ground and picking them up. I mean, we don't know, but you'd think they would
Don't
tell
miss
us that they
AAA's
have the
Louisville
National
Vacation
Guard
Expo,
assisting.
Sunday, September 22nd,
They
10
have
a.m. to
not
5
said
p.m. at
anything
Holiday
about
Inn
the
Louisville
National
East.
Guard.
Admission is free. Meet travel vendors, book with advisors, and save on trips. Attend vacation seminars and register to win great prizes.
Hold on.
We're starting at 6 with our coverage as WHAS 11 News is still in southeastern Kentucky, where we've been all week long. Hello, everybody. I'm Doug Prophet. This just in. We're learning the governor is going to that zone in tomorrow. We'll tell you more about that in just a second. But right here tonight, law enforcement officials have been searching the Daniel Boone National Forest for 5 days now. They still haven't found the man who they say opened fire on I-75 in southeastern Kentucky Saturday night. Once again, this is the man they're looking for, 32-year-old Joseph Couch, who lives not far from what was the shooting zone. Kentucky State Police say he randomly shot several vehicles Saturday evening with an AR-15, injuring 5 motorists, some of them badly hurt. WHAS 11's Ian Hardwick and photojournalist Emma Gefter are once again in Laurel County.
From the helicopters circling overhead
he said he called
To the third day of silent closed schools, the manhunt is still underway for Joseph Couch.
If I had to sum it up one word, it would be fear.
Laurel County Judge Executive David Westerfield called a state of emergency Monday morning, bringing state and federal law enforcement into the small community.
The National Guard has not been
but he
here
said the
yet,
National
but
Guard
I'm
has yet
thinking that
to
here
show
shortly,
up.
if this don't get resolved, then they'll be coming in to help as well.
However, Westerfield said that's ultimately KSP's decision. They've yet to expand their already vast search area, thousands of acres.
Sorry, they're just
The U.S.
talking
Forest
about
Service closed several
that
parts of Chautauqua Trail,
camper
including this
that they
one
think
near Daniel
somebody
Boone
was
National
in.
Forest.
They went to
KSP still
investigate.
believes
There's
Couch is
nobody
out here somewhere. This
That's what the
stretches
scanner was
miles
just saying.
all the way
So,
over to exit 49, where it all began.
If
Court
that were
documents from the Laurel
true,
County Sheriff's investigation into the
why has the
I-75 shooting
National
on
Guard
Saturday
already been
accused
flying
Couch
over?
of firing down at cars from a ledge bordering
It's
the
not-
forest
it's not-
overlooking
nothing
the
is
interstate.
adding up
Less than
here.
30 minutes before, the Sheriff's
only way
office
it
received a
adds
tip
up
about a text
is if
Couch
they
sent
speak
saying he
about
would,
it
quote, kill a
publicly.
lot of people.
Not
An hour
telling a
later,
news
officers
station,
recovered a vehicle registered to
getting on a
Couch near the
camera
shooting. By 8:41 that night,
talking
Center
to
Target
the
Firearms in
people
London
in the
told police
community.
Couch purchased an AR-15
Talking
along with
to
1,000
anyone
rounds of
watching
ammo the very
so that
same day as
people
the
feel
shooting.
safe
Visiting the
wherever they
store
are,
Wednesday,
that
we
these
tried asking
situations keep
questions, but they
happening.
referred us to law
But
enforcement. At Tuesday's
is the
press conference,
community
Sheriff John
handling
Root
it
said
the
he
way they
can't
should?
comment on the active
So,
investigation.
And
We
really,
will
right
pull that up
now,
on
we
the
can't
screen
elaborate
here
a whole
for
lot
you.
on the evidence that's
It's
been
already
collected.
up right now. This is that
So
article.
now fear is paired with uncertainty
where
about whether Couch is dead or
I'll
alive or
show
if he's
you
still
on
in the area
here.
at all. In Laurel County, Ian Hardwick, WHAS 11, on your side.
Well, Kentucky
So,
State
this
Police
is
did
what I
not
read
provide
for
an
you
update
earlier,
today.
this
They
last part of
police
the
and state
paragraph
police and
here,
local
that
police have been
last
talking
sentence.
since Sunday, but nothing today. Again,
says
Governor
he
Andy
called
Beshear
for
is
a
planning
state
to
of
visit law
emergency
enforcement
Monday
in Laurel
morning
County early
to bring
tomorrow
state
morning
and
at 8
federal law
o'clock.
enforcement into
WHAS
the
11
small
is staying there in
But
London and
he
area
said
as
the
we have been all
National
week.
Guard
We'll have coverage
has
for you
yet
tomorrow.
to show
Law
up.
enforcement is asking
This
for
is
anyone
a
with tips to help them
direct
out. The Laurel County
quote
number is
from
606
County Judge Executive
878
David
7000.
Westerfield, and that was from tonight at around 6:30.
I think this news story that we're going to play also may give more information.
Right, so that's all it said.
To grow on
really
social media,
so
you need
far
to
in the
make video
article. So
content.
now we're
But
gonna
video
play the
content
news
takes a long
story
time to
for
make.
you.
Try Veed
I'll
to
step
speed
a
up your
little
video
bit
content
farther
creation
away with the
workflow. You
scanner
can
so
begin
I can
creating
keep
from
listening to
templates or
what's
create your
going
own.
on.
You can add animated
And then
elements,
we'll play it for you
subtitles,
maybe
text,
2
images,
times,
stock footage,
and
stock
then we'll
audio,
come
and you can
right
create a
back.
professional looking
We're
video
here,
in
but,
minutes.
You know, we're gonna be monitoring things, but we want you guys to figure out the same thing we are.
Coming up today on Locked On at Texas Tech, have we understated the impact of Taj Brooks' absence on Saturday in Pullman and a mean green view on North Texas and Tech to the first couple of weeks of the season? We're into it next on Locked On Texas Tech.
Was really put out, they would tell that to people so they feel a little bit better knowing
You are
the
Locked
National
On
Guard
Texas
is
Tech,
assisting.
your daily podcast on the Texas Tech
Why
Red
that's so
Raiders,
hard to
part
tell
of the
people?
Locked On
I don't know.
Podcast Network,
It's not
your
like a
team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On at Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. Thanks as always for making us your first listen. And today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet only $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started with the only Chris Level. I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you. And just a couple of days away from the Red Raiders returning to Jones Stadium, where they will face the Mean Green of North Texas, led by a familiar face to Red Raider fans, a familiar face, familiar name to West Texans in general, that being one Eric Morris. We will hear from Coach Morris coming up on today's program. Want to get some thoughts on his time in West Texas and some of the memories he still carries, of course, and also like to get an opposing view on what he's seen on film from the Red Raiders. So we will get to that coming up in just a moment, but also want to get to some thoughts from Texas Tech running backs coach and special teams coordinator Kenny Perry. We will stick to the running backs portion of his duties on today's program, but obviously that one of the bigger storylines this week as we look forward to ball game number 3, whether or not number 28 Taj
is
Brooks,
still in
the Brahma Bull
southeastern
of the
Kentucky,
806,
where we've
will
been
be
all
back
week long.
on the
Hello,
field
everybody.
for
I'm
the
Doug
Red
Prophet.
Raiders.
This
He
just
was
in. We're
not
learning
there,
the governor
obviously,
is going
in
to that
Pullman,
zone
Washington,
in tomorrow.
against the
We'll tell you more
Cougars.
about that in
And
just a
I'm kind
second.
of wondering if maybe
But
we
right
have
here tonight, law
undervalued or
enforcement officials have been
understated
searching the
the
Daniel Boone
impact
National Forest
of
for
his
5 days now.
absence on
They still haven't
Saturday
found
night.
the
I wanna
man
get
who
your
they
thoughts
say
on that
opened
coming up,
fire
but first,
on
let's take a listen
I-75
to
in
Kenny Perry
southeastern
talking
Kentucky
about
Saturday
Brooks
night.
not being in the
Once
mix
again,
last
this is
weekend.
the man they're looking for.
I think it hurt just from
Joseph
the
Couch, who lives
comfort
not far
standpoint, you know.
from what was
When
the
the Bulls
shooting
didn't have
zone.
Michael Jordan, they weren't very good neither. We didn't have Taj Brooks. I think it's a comfort. I think, you know, I can't speak for it, but I'm sure Barron can tell you that there's times where he feels comfortable turning and handing the ball to Taj Brooks. I think our offensive line blocks better when Taj is there just because he makes guys miss. Everything just looks better. I mean, that's part of it when you got a player like him. So did it affect us? Yeah, but can we use that as an excuse? Nope, and I'm not going to use that as an excuse. I mean, guys, we're expected to win games. Y'all know that. I mean, it's just the nature of this business. If not, you're going to be sitting up here, you know, in time asking somebody else these questions, and I get that. That's why, I mean, I'm not going to shy away from nothing. We got to win the game. There's no way around that.
So obviously the coaches can't necessarily focus in on it as an excuse. Podcast host, maybe a little more leeway. But I'm kind of curious. I feel like maybe myself as a fan have been sort of undervaluing the impact of his absence, if that's even possible for arguably the best player on your team. But I don't know, maybe I go into the game kind of thinking, all right, well, your ground game is going to suffer, obviously, without him out there. But I don't know if I was considering enough how that impacts everything else, passing game, offense in general, how that impacts the team at large. And
they hit all the hot button issues from immigration to student at Male High School was just arrested and expected to be charged after a gun was found in that student's book bag. The principal said in a letter to parents that the gun was found through its weapons detection system. All student staff and visitors walk through that as part of the school's safety plan. They said the student will also be disciplined according to the Student Support and Behavior Handbook.
Don't miss AAA's Louisville Vacation Expo, Sunday, September 22nd, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Holiday Inn Louisville East. Admission is free. Meet travel vendors, book with advisors, and save on trips. Attend vacation seminars and register to win great prizes.
Today, Matt and I are breaking out the haterade and breaking down 10 players that have
Boone National Forest for 5 days now. They still haven't found the man who they say opened fire on I-75 in southeastern Kentucky Saturday night. Once again, this is the man they're looking for, 32-year-old Joseph Couch, who lives not far from what was the shooting zone. Kentucky State Police say he randomly shot several vehicles Saturday evening with an AR-15, injuring 5 motorists, some of them badly hurt. WHS 11's Ian Hardwitt and photojournalist Emma Gefter are once again in Laurel County.
From the helicopters circling overhead to the third day of silent closed schools, the manhunt is still underway for Joseph Couch.
If I had to sum it up in one word, it would be fear.
Laurel County Judge Executive David Westerfield called a state of emergency Monday morning, bringing state and federal law enforcement into the small community.
The National Guard has not been here yet, but I'm thinking that here shortly, if this don't get resolved, then they'll be coming in to help as well.
However, Westerfield said that's ultimately KSP's decision. They've yet to expand their already vast search area, thousands of acres. The U.S. Forest Service closed several parts of Chautauqua Trail, including this one near Daniel Boone National Forest. KSP still believes Couch is out here somewhere. This stretches miles all the way over to exit 49, where it all began. Court documents from the Laurel County Sheriff's investigation into the I-75 shooting on Saturday accused Couch of firing down at cars from a ledge bordering the forest overlooking the interstate. Less than 30 minutes before, the sheriff's office received a tip about a text Couch sent saying he would, quote, kill a lot of people. An hour later, officers recovered a vehicle registered to Couch near the shooting. By 8:41 that night, Center Target Firearms in London told police Couch purchased an AR-15 along with 1,000 rounds of ammo the very same day as the shooting. Visiting the store Wednesday, we tried asking questions, but they referred us to law enforcement. At Tuesday's press conference, Sheriff John Root said he can't comment on the active investigation.
And really right now we can't elaborate a whole lot on the evidence that's been collected.
So now fear is paired with uncertainty about whether Couch is dead or alive or if he's still in the area at all. In Laurel County, Ian Hardwitt, WHAS 11, on your side.
Well, Kentucky State Police did not provide an update today. State police and local police have been talking since Sunday, but nothing today. Again, Governor Andy Beshear is planning to visit law enforcement in Laurel County early tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. WHAS 11 is staying there in London and area as we have been all week. We'll have coverage for you tomorrow. Law enforcement is asking for anyone with tips to help them out. The Laurel County number is 606-878-7000.
Don't miss AAA's Louisville Vacation Expo, Sunday, September 22nd, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Holiday Inn Louisville East. Admission is free. Meet travel vendors, book with advisors, and save on trips. Attend vacation seminars and register to win great prizes.
Baylor should blow out this Air Force team. In fact, anything less might well be a disappointment.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another episode of Locked On Baylor, brought to you by FanDuel. Thank you so much for making it your first listen today and every day. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which of course is your team.
Okay, so we just listened to that little news report about the National Guard. Nothing. Sorry. So right now, what we're really just focusing on is listening to the scanner and listening for what calls come in and what the outcome of those calls are. Last night it didn't really pick up till 12:15, 12:30, and then it went freaking nuts. It was mayhem. So we'll see what happens tonight. I think as the days go on, it might die down, hopefully. If there's anything going on with it. So while we're listening for more calls to come in, we're just going to check in on what's going on with the hurricane, see if anything exciting is happening. It was upgraded to a Category 2 right before it made landfall. And it had some pretty gusty winds, but a lot of rain, even in the eye of the storm, which is not too common to have that much rain. But I don't know, it didn't look as bad. But it could pick up, or maybe It could be like earlier this season where a second one forms right after it turns around and comes back to land again. We're just going to kind of follow it and see what's going on. At this point, we should be getting more into the cleanup. But let's check in on that while we're listening to the scanner. Anything breaking news happens, we'll come in. There's this one. Watch live trick.
I'm gonna switch to that.
To add some extra layers. I dried off to get some of that water off of me so I can try and warm up just a little bit, but it's really breezy, really windy. So again, these are just some of the conditions that we're seeing, and this is happening all over the city. Like I just said, we're in Holly Grove and we're trying to turn on whatever street we could just to get out of the flooding. We were like, oh my goodness, we do not want to be the ones who are kind of stranded or our car gets flooded. So
can you hear us,
Alyssa? Just be really careful. Yes, I can. Can you
Alyssa,
hear
we
me?
do have a question for you. Yeah, I know that it's so dark out there, but there is, I believe, some way that isn't there something written on the cinder blocks how deep the water is? Isn't there some type of a measuring?
Yes, there is.
Thing? Can you tell us how deep the water is? Can you see it?
Yeah, let me go walk over. I'm going to be really safe. Don't worry.
And while you're over there, is there a car in this water still too?
I believe so. It is really dark. It looks like the car may still be over there. It's really hard to see, so I can't say exactly. I do know the officer said that the person was rescued, so they were fine. I am trying to look. I have my contacts in, but it is so dark I cannot see the measurement. But it's fairly deep. I would say at least a few feet, but I don't want to give you guys an exact measurement, but definitely deep enough that it could get scary out there.
Oh, absolutely. It always accumulates so much quicker down there because it's such a low elevation where it dips underneath there. And that's why it's deceiving. That's why a lot of times people drive into it because they don't realize how deep it gets so quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Even just, a normal pothole. We came up on those a few times where we're like, is it deep? Is it a pothole? So we kind of rolled down the window and I would look out a little bit and I was like, okay, it's a pothole, kind of veered to the left, but you never know, especially with these New Orleans streets. 1 minute you're on flat land and then the next one you're like driving down the underpass and it's so much deeper.
Don't we know?
So yeah, it's very common.
You've driven all over the place today. You were in Holly Grove. Now you're over here. Can you tell us, have you seen any other street flooding on your travels?
Definitely. I do want to say earlier this afternoon when it was still light outside, we were trying to head to Venetian Isles. I think you guys saw some of that, but the road to get out there was just flooded and we didn't want to risk it, and that was earlier this afternoon, so I'm sure those streets in that area are flooded even more. I'm going to pull up my map right here to see where we've been and what areas were flooded. Oh, right in front of Costco by Xavier, absolutely flooded over there. We had to really maneuver over there. The canal over there was really rising. So
Alyssa,
Xavier area.
Yeah, before, not to cut you off, but just I want to stop you there because apparently there are extremely high canal levels in Holly Grove. That canal in Holly Grove is a drainage canal, which is an indication that the Sewage and Water Board's drainage system is completely overwhelmed and could indicate a problem with pumping and power and all those things. Now, Joe Giarrusso, the city council member, recently tweeted that the Sewage and Water Board is reporting high canal levels in Holly Grove, Lakeview, Gentilly, and maybe New Orleans East. Apparently, they've had some issues with power. The EMDs, that are those backup power generators, went down and will likely prolong proper drainage. There were also some issues with power in another part of the city. No reports of widespread downed pumps, but this is obviously a Sewage and Water Board issue of the system being overwhelmed and possibly some problems happening.
That's the Daniel Boone National
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense because, again, in that area, not only was there flooding, but there were power outages. A lot of those streets were going dark, so that would make absolute sense. Once I get off with you guys, I can make some calls and see if we can get any information from Sewage and Water Board about what's going on or when we can expect some of that pumping to resume. But yeah, that exactly makes sense. Flooded streets and some power outages in that area.
Yeah, that seems like a an abnormal amount of water, even at that underpass. Even though it floods all the time, that looks like abnormal.
Yeah, and it's really high, and it's also kind of been a while since we've had really heavy rain, right? Is that accurate, Alyssa, or are you seeing rain where you are?
No, you are absolutely correct. Last time you guys saw me, I want to say it was about an hour ago, and we were by the World War II Museum.
All right,
and
so I'm going to check my
was
scanner
coming
and see
down
what else is going on.
hard. But when we got in the car and we started driving, we were trying to make it over here. After about 10 minutes, it stopped raining,
All right,
and it
so
hasn't really rained.
This is the second night
since
this
then,
has
so
happened.
I would say now
I'm not really
probably
sure
about an
what's
hour.
going
It's been
on.
pretty dry.
Last
we'll
night
get
there
some
was
pockets
a
of
bunch of
drizzling,
stuff
but it is so
popping
light
off
of a drizzle
in
that it feels like compared to what was going on 2 hours
right
ago,
now,
it feels like it's
there's
not even
stuff
raining.
going on. It
but
says
yeah,
they have an
we
active
have not
event
had
for
a
shooting.
significant
So I'm going to turn the scanner over and listen to what's going
in
on
about
in
an hour, I
Indiana
would
for a little
say.
bit. It looks like it's the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police.
Definitely is unusual.
So let me
I don't
head
know if
over
it's
there
just
real
that
quick.
the drainage system is
We'll
struggling to
stay
keep
on,
up.
of course, but I'm just going to head over there and
and that there is a lack of power or whatnot. But this
So
is certainly an emergent situation,
Indiana
and
is the scanner
we're hearing
up
that
right
not
now
only
for
are
a
there
shooting. We're trying to
overflowing canals and
find out
high levels in the canals,
how big
there in
the
Holly
shooting
Grove,
was,
but,
what's going on with
parts
that
of
real
Lakeview is
quick.
having an issue. Parts of Uptown, as Alyssa has reported throughout the night, also having some issues there. So it sounds like there is something going on with the
you
Sewage and
can
Water
hear
Board, and
them
I think we're
firing
probably gonna need to
shots
get an update
over
from someone
the radio,
about what the situation is there
dispatch.
as soon as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know David Hammer's also been out there talking to people, keeping an eye on this too. So maybe we can check in with him in a little bit. And see what he knows.
Yes, and kind of reach out to the sources and see what's happening out there. This is a picture. I'm not sure where.
This is in Gentilly.
Gentilly, okay.
And we're right now we're going to just kind of look at some of the video that we're getting into our newsroom. And this is coming from viewers, from our photographers, people on the ground who are seeing things firsthand. Again, only send this in to us if it is safe to do so from where you are. This is Gentilly. You can see how high the water is there, coming up some people's front walkways. This is in Holly Grove.
As we were just mentioning, that there are high water level in the canal there, and looks like there's a lot of water in the streets as well. Hopefully those cars are not flooded out, but that does seem like a very very tricky situation. Yeah. Hopefully, anybody who has to drive around and is driving around is doing it very slowly so it doesn't push water into people's homes. It's been difficult. You all have been sending in such wonderful photos and videos for us as you're experiencing this flooding in your neighborhoods, and we appreciate that you're sending those to us. Please keep them coming. 504-529-4444 is that number. Again, we're still looking at that video in Holly Grove of some flooded streets there. You know, this is just a difficult situation. Here's Orleans Avenue at North Scott. So this is another
definitely backed up there.
Seriously backed up street. You know, we have not heard in great detail about whether or not the flood water is starting to recede. I know in some neighborhoods in Jefferson Parish it is.
Yeah,
others,
we are hearing that.
Others, it's not yet. So I think there's a lot of anxiety and concern about the fact that they're not seeing the water go down quickly.
Especially since there are parts of Jefferson Parish that do not typically flood. I think that's where the anxiety
Marion County.
Absolutely.
We also have some video of St. Charles Parish. This is Norco, I believe.
Yes.
Where we are hearing that there is water in homes.
Indianapolis, Marion County.
You can see the water is really, it looks pretty high, and the wind was whipping whenever this video was taken. This was earlier this evening.
Yes.
I'm waiting for them to repeat it.
Yes.
We don't have an exact tally right now on how many homes in St. Charles Parish have water in them. Same thing with JP. A lot of this stuff takes time. Probably in the morning, we're going to be hearing more about the tally, the damage, how high the water actually got. And hopefully by then, most of the water will have been able to be pumped out.
All right, here's Laplace. Of course, Paul Murphy has been in Laplace for us all day. That area has really just been getting pummeled. This is one of the neighborhoods in Laplace, and looks like the water is just shy of getting into homes, so that's good. Those vehicles clearly moved to higher ground, thankfully. Hopefully they, never got any water in them. But you can see here, this water is high. The water is high.
Yes. This is St. Tammany Parish. These transformers have been, there's so many videos of these all over social media as they've been kind of zapping throughout this storm. And that is unfortunately the site of a whole neighborhood's power headed out.
Absolutely. Let's check it. As we're watching this video of the transformer blowing, let me just pull up this parish by parish map from Entergy. That's obviously on the North Shore, so that may be St. Tammany, Washington Co-op, or it could be Clico.
I'll look that up while you
However,
get to Entergy.
Just on Entergy, and this is a statewide number, so keep that in mind. It's also areas in Ascension Parish and Assumption Parish and up by Livingston Parish, even Baton Rouge. Those areas have all been having some power issues as well. But statewide, we're looking at 275,000 Entergy customers without power right now. What you're looking at on the screen right now is the map, but those are the areas that are down closer to the coast. That looks like Lafourche and Terrebonne parishes, those areas that got hit first and probably hardest. Lots of power outages down there. Now in Mandeville, Clico, Devin's pulling up that map to check it out.
This is, again, another statewide number, so this is a lot of people who are kind of in the Morgan City area, New Iberia area, but total Clico customers were right under 24,000 without power. And really not that many on the North Shore yet, but the storm is just getting up there now, so that is probably going to change.
And as we know, Morgan City is near the area right where the storm made landfall, so that would have been, where the worst of those, hurricane force winds kind of ripped through the coast and then started working their way up. So that makes sense that those are the areas with the concentrated power outages there.
Here's the Clico map here. You can see that there are quite a few in the Slidell area, also down near Mandeville, Madisonville, up to Covington, and you can see even some in Lacombe. This is, again, the storm is just kind of working its way up there. So this may change as we, as the storm makes its way there.
Yeah.
And Mike McDaniel is there.
He is. He's been covering that area for us. He was along the lakefront and then since has been, near the Emergency Operations Center in Covington. So Mike, how are conditions now?
Yeah, kind of staying tethered to the Emergency Operations Center. We told you earlier that we knew the bulk of it was kind of at our doorstep. Well, the bulk of it has now knocked on the door and is in our house. So we're kind of in it right now. And parish leaders kind of hope this is going to be the most of it. If you kind of look behind me, there's not a whole lot of wind yet that we've gotten up here in downtown Covington where we are. It comes in gusts here and there, but for the most part, nothing has really been sustained out here. It's just been some rain. Every now and then you'll get some gusts gusts of rain that'll kind of come in sideways, and that's kind of it. But this has been the heaviest rain that we have seen the entire time we have been up here on the North Shore today in its entirety. Now, at this point, there's still about 2,500 people in St. Tammany Parish without power. They do expect about 3 inches of rain until about 2 a.m. And the worst impacts, which is what we're dealing with right about now, it could get a little worse than it is right now, but this is kind of where we are. This is kind of going to go on until about 1 a.m. to get out of the parish completely. Now, part of a big piece of good news here is rivers are not expected to flood. So that is definitely good news. It's actually better than what was expected up here on the North Shore. I did just check in with the Sheriff's Office in neighboring Tangipahoa Parish. They said they are dealing with some rain right about now. They do have some down trees, some down power lines, so they're dealing with those at this point, but nothing wild or
that
no
lovely
reports of
woman
any
has already
massive
made landfall here in
no
the U.S.
large damage, major damage.
We're kind of
going to
monitor that.
Have been reported here on the North Shore. That's also in Washington Parish as well.
Kind of the damage
so right
looks
now,
like,
here on the North Shore, we are doing fairly well, especially compared to what's going on down on the South Shore. We have not heard of any areas.
So if you weren't here earlier, I explained how this has kind of gone each night. Well,
streets that are prone
I mean,
to flood,
each night there's been lots of calls, but last night in particular,
that's expected
around
to happen
12:15,
12:30
in the morning,
Thankfully, this is just a tropical system now, kind of moving through the North Shore. It is going to linger around for a little bit, so folks here at the EOC are staying where they are.
With the nonstop calls coming in on the scanner, they all sound like they could be the guy we're looking for, this Joseph Couch. We call him Joey C.
That's where they're going to start clearing debris if there is any.
It could be related to Joey C. It could be that somebody has some type of information or a sighting. But last night,
throughout the night, that's probably going to increase.
It was so tempting to get on.
And remember, it's just going to take time for these power crews to kind of get power
the few streamers that are covering the breaking news, they would get off and it was still going on until probably about 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning. So
there, you know,
it is starting to pick up more, and the calls that are coming in
what's happening
are pretty
there,
big
especially
calls.
since it's in the dark. I mean, that makes it so much more
just
difficult.
about
It makes it harder.
Maybe
and,
an
we say
hour or
this
so
every time
ago.
that there is a storm because it always seems to happen.
There was a
night.
lady that
Yes,
called
when the
in
daylight
frantic
comes, we're gonna
about
really
gunshots being fired
happened
somewhere
and look
behind
again
her
tomorrow.
house.
Yeah, absolutely.
Officers responded out there, couldn't find anything. They cleared the inside and a bit around the property.
Some areas are really starting to dry
Found
out tonight,
nothing.
and those are the ones that really got hit
And
hard
about
first.
35
And
minutes
that
after
includes
they
Galliano.
left,
Meg Ferris has
the
been
woman
down there
called
reporting for
back,
us,
frantic
throughout the
again,
day,
that the
and
shots
she's
were
joining us with the very
continuing.
latest, Meg.
And they could hear them, but they couldn't figure out. They couldn't see where they were coming
back to
from.
you with a
Couldn't figure it
report
out.
this time from
So
Thibodeau,
we're
which
kind
is
of going to
about,
monitor that, see what
almost an
happens
hour
with each of
north
these calls.
where we are in Galliano, but both in Lafourche Parish.
We're expecting
and
that
this is
tonight
according
is
to
going to be just like
the president
last
of the
night.
parish.
Hopefully it's
Archie
not for the
Chasson.
officers'
He
sakes
says
and the community's
the
sake.
street
But
and some
last
of the
night,
housing
for
units, a
about
government
from
housing
midnight till
development, took
4,
on water.
4:30 in the morning.
The sheriff's
It
office
was
got
crazy.
to
So
the front of the street,
we're going to take
and
a
our
real
crews were
quick,
able
like 15
to load people on a
20-minute break
24 to
before
26
we hit that
people.
12 o'clock
The
hour
bus took them to a
where
shelter
things
that also included
just got
8 children
super
were
intense.
evacuated
We're also
from that
following
housing
the
development.
hurricane.
Now this happened on
And then we
Lasagne
also have
Street up in Thibodeau.
a citywide
so that's
alert
all
out
the
of
information
Indianapolis,
we have at
Indiana.
this point. It sounds
All
like
it
everyone
said
is okay,
was
but
shooting.
they
I
all had to
tuned
be
in on the scanner
evacuated from their homes that
and
did
it's like
take
any
on
other
water
big
up in
city.
Thibodeau.
It's
So I am sure
popping
tomorrow
off.
at daylight
Tons
we'll
of
be able
calls
to see
coming
more
through.
of the damage.
We're
north
hearing
of
all
here
of them. We
in
did hear
Thibodeau, but
shots
here in
being
Galliano,
fired
as you can
through
see,
the
the
radio,
wind is still
through the scanner.
very, very strong.
So
no
that was
rain,
kind of shocking,
but on
and
the
it was
south side of the storm,
rapid. It definitely
the drier
sounded-
side of the storm, the wind is still
No,
gusting very
it didn't sound
strongly,
like a pistol.
and
It
you
definitely
can probably
sounded-
see behind me that power is
I don't
out
wanna say machine
throughout
gun, but
Galliano. There's just
it
no
was definitely
power. What you're
rapid
seeing,
fire.
the
Pretty
lights you're
scary
seeing
shit.
are from
So
our
we're gonna take
camera
about a
batteries
15,
and from
20-minute
generator
break,
here
and we will be
at the,
right
the
back
Port
here,
Commission.
live
so,
on the
that's the
scanner,
latest on that, and now
listening
throw it
in
back to y'all.
to everything going
They are
on
a
in
dangerous
Kentucky.
situation. They're
We're
glad
gonna
that
keep
they are
checking
okay
in
and that they
around
are
the
safely
U.S.
at a
and see what's going
shelter.
on.
They will
and
have
we're gonna
to,
still keep
kind
on top
start to
of Miss Francine
pick up the
and
pieces
see what
in the morning and
activities
try and
she's
figure
up
out what to do next. So hopefully
so
they're
we're
getting
gonna
some
be
help.
right back.
Lots to talk
15,
tonight
20
about
minutes.
the pumps.
Yes.
what is on, what is not, what is working,
hopefully
what is not.
Yeah, what's happening in New Orleans? Lots of
in that
street
time.
flooding
If anything goes,
that
we'll
is
be
just
right
standing
back.
there. Canals being
So thanks for
extremely
tuning
full.
in. Stick with us.
Issues
I
with
think
some
it's going to
power.
be
We want
another
to check in with David
exciting
Hammer,
night.
who has been working
So
the
that's
phones
why we're
to
going to
get some
go
information
prep
about the latest
now.
there. So David, are you on the phone?
So that we can stay here with you
Yes,
guys
I
until
am,
the
Katie.
activity dies down.
Yeah,
So we
I'm
will be
just
back
in
in just
Lakeview,
about 15-20
Canal
minutes.
Boulevard
And
is
let us know in the
impassable
comments
around
anything
Polk
while we're
Street,
gone,
which I have
any
not seen before.
reports you saw, anything you think we
and
should know,
I
anything that
actually
you want us
spoke
to
a gentleman
maybe comment on
who
or
lives
clarify
just about a
any
block away
things
from
that
there
you heard we can try.
who
We've
said
been
his
following
house is
this
flooded,
since it
and,
started on Saturday evening.
Yeah,
So
and,
we'll try to
they
give you as
have
much
had
information as we
issues
have,
with
try to
pumps
clear up
failing
some
before back
conflicting
in
reports,
2017, but
listen
they,
in on the
had
scanner,
not
and
had
follow
this
through
issue,
on the calls that
in
we hear
Idaho
come
and
through the
other,
scanner.
big storms. We're seeing
thanks
more,
for tuning in.
Problems in Lakeview
Leave
than
questions
we've
or
seen
comments
quite
in the
some time
chat.
since the August 2017
If you feel
flood.
obliged, hit that
And
like
I'm told by
button, share our
Councilman
stream,
Joe Giarrusso
subscribe,
that
all
we
that
did
fun
have
stuff.
problems with
We're
the
not going to beg for
electromotive diesel
anything.
generators that back up
We're
the
just
power
here to try to
generation for
bring
the older
awareness
pumps
to
that
the
serve Lakeview.
situation,
Don't know if that is the
to
reason,
try to make
but we're
everyone feel
definitely
safe,
seeing some of the smaller
to
streets
get the
and
word
even
out there.
a major portion
So
of Canal Boulevard
let us know in the
that
comments,
are not
where are
draining,
you watching
they
from, what
are draining
state?
slowly or appear to
Don't
not
give
be
us your
draining
address
at
or
all.
anything.
Yeah, that's difficult, and that's an indicator that
but
there's something wrong.
we try to keep it light.
It does take a
try
while
to
for them
keep
to
it,
catch
I
up,
mean,
but if things aren't
breaking
moving
news is
and it's been
never
over an hour, typically that means there's
fun
something
to
wrong with
report
the
on.
system.
It's usually not something
It's
that's
a red
good
flag, right,
topic.
David?
But we'll still
Yeah,
try
absolutely.
to make
in some places you
things
see the
feel
water
like this is a
moving
safe
towards the catch
space.
basins
And
very
even
slowly.
if people
In
are
other
in a
places, you
city
don't seem
where
to see
things
any
are
movement at
hectic
all.
and popping
I
off, if
spoke
we
to
can
Eli
bring you
Durham, whose
answers that
parents'
the
house
media is
just
not
flooded,
giving you,
and they do have
that's great.
a
So stick
basement
around.
that's
We appreciate you
slab
being
on
here.
grade.
We know that
But
there's
they
many other
have
sources
been
you could
having
go
problems
to,
with flooding in
but we appreciate
they were
you
told that the
staying
new
up with us
drainage in the
tonight,
streets
and
there,
we'll try to get out
from new
all the
paving work that was
information we
done
can.
was going to
If you
help
guys
with that,
find anything that
and
you
here
want
was
us
the
to
first
report
test,
on,
and it apparently
we'll
failed.
find it. So we'll be
that's
back in
not
about
good.
15, 20
David,
minutes.
the Surge and Water Board seemed so confident going into this storm that it was going to be able to manage this and that things would be under control. Can you speak to that at all? Was that a false confidence there, or did something happen here that was truly unexpected, out of control?
Well, I don't think it was a false confidence, because they did have more power going into this than they've had in a long, long time. And they had all of those electromotive diesel backup generators functioning going into the storm. But according to Joe Giarrusso, the council member, some of those, or maybe even all 5 of them, went down. That's 12.5 megawatts of power right there. If that's knocked out, that has a significant impact. And the last 2 inches of rain that fell just over the last 30 to 45 minutes of the rainfall right before 10 o'clock really overwhelmed the system. So you see slow drainage after that. But if there are problems with some of the pumps or some of the drainage lines, as we see in Lakeview, then that's a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that is great information tonight, David. We appreciate that report. We'll probably end up checking back in with you in a little while later as we continue to monitor this flooding emergency.
Yeah, thank you, David.
Yep.
All right, another place where flooding is a problem. We're hearing phones go off. There are additional warnings that are happening.
What's going on?
What are those?
It's a continuation of the flash flood emergency.
Continuation of the flash flood emergency for anybody out there whose phones are going off right now. We started to hear them here in the studio, but 6 to 8 inches of rain fell in the emergency area. Alexa Trishler is telling me. Jefferson Parish. Wow, that is a very large amount of rain in a very short period of time.
All the way through St. John, St. Charles, Orleans, kind of that whole area. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, so that's Alexa that you're hearing. Kind of giving us the latest, but.
And that explains why these pumps became so overwhelmed in Jefferson Parish, especially because we've seen so much flooding there. That is where Eleanor Tabone is. She's been keeping an eye on things. Eleanor, where are you now?
Devin and Katie, now I'm on Clearview Parkway. I'm going to step out the way because just 2 blocks from up is the West Napoleon Canal, which we know overflowed during this tropical weather. Now, straight ahead, Sam's going to show you can see a car basically submerged in the water over here. Now, we can see an energy truck right here. Now, I don't know why this energy truck is here. There could be possibly downed power lines right here. Now, this tow truck is here waiting to eventually remove this car from the floodwater here. We're seeing cars being turned around. There was law enforcement out here before getting cars and notifying them that they cannot pass on Clearview right here. And as I mentioned, just 2 blocks. If you zoom in and you can see those green traffic lights, that's where West Napoleon is. And right there is the canal that we know overtopped, as well as the other 2 major canals in Jefferson Parish. Now, right where the drive-through is and that bank is, law enforcement was telling me that is higher ground, and then you could possibly get on the other side, but there is no way to pass this. And as I mentioned, there could be possible downed power lines, so it's just simply dangerous to cross in this water. It also looks very, very deep the further you go back, and you can see that car right there. And like we've been reporting, Katie and Devin, we know that we're being told in Jefferson Parish to conserve that water. We're being told not to take a shower, not to take a bath or run the laundry or have it use your dishwasher, because it's possible for the sewage to be backed up. And this flood water, like we've been mentioning, is just sitting here. We're waiting for the pumps to kick in. We're waiting for this to be all drained out. But right now, there's flooding all over Jefferson Parish. Everywhere that we have been tonight, ladies, there has just been flooding, and it seems like now the wind is really, really picking up. We're feeling it. It's blowing both of us. The rain has thankfully eased off. We have a little bit of drizzle. We saw some lightning before. That lightning has subsided. But again, the wind out here on Clearview, where this car, you can see these cars being turned around here. No passing because that water is so deep, and again, possibly have downed power lines. And we know, Katie and Devin, that there are so many power outages across the entire southeast Louisiana as Hurricane Francine ripped through earlier today. But again, thankfully, the rain has subsided. That torrential downpour that you saw that we were in earlier has subsided. There is some sprinkles, but the water is pooling out here on Clearview. The wind is just picking up. You can see the trees blowing. You can see traffic lights slightly swaying. But again, as I mentioned, the car's being turned around here at Clearview because just 2 blocks away is West Napoleon Canal, which overtopped, as well as the other 2 major canals in Jefferson Parish. So we're going to continue to monitor this. We're going to see if we can move to other locations to get more information for our viewers, get more details to show you the extensive flooding across the parish. But again, as I mentioned, Katie and Devin, a lot of flooding here on Clearview in Metairie. Again, possible down power lines. If you're heading this way, there's no way for you to pass. You're going to be turned around. But so just keep safe, keep updated, keep your phones alert. We saw those flash flood warnings coming through. That's why it's so important to keep them near us so we can keep our updates. But like I mentioned, we're going to continue to travel around the parish to see what else we can bring you and update our viewers. But reporting live in Metairie, Eleanor Tabone, WWL, Louisiana.
All right, the power outage. Thank you so much, Eleanor. The power outages there seem to be really compounding the problem, and it feels like it's going to be a waiting game.
And I think that this is a good time to remind people. She keeps saying, if you're heading this way, do not head any way. Stay in your house. This is not the time to be driving around.
Right.
It is incredibly dangerous to be driving around right now, and it puts you at risk. It puts emergency responders at risk, who are at this time just trying to make sense of what all is going on and get the water away.
Yes.
Pump everything down.
Yes.
And get things safe again.
Hopefully we can try and get some officials on the phone in just a little bit. Yes, very shortly, just to try and get an update on what is being done to try and alleviate the problem. I mean, I know, we spoke with Council Member Scott Walker a little while ago to hear from him on it, but I don't know if it's possible to talk to, their drainage department or somebody who is actively involved in it to try and get the latest. So we'll effort that as we continue our coverage tonight.
For now, I believe we are going to get a check on the weather.
in
right?
just a few minutes, I think.
Just
You know,
a few minutes,
this
okay.
has been such a. Are we getting a check of the forecast from Chief Meteorologist Chris Franklin?
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, Chief Meteorologist
All right.
Chris Franklin, you're up.
Take it away, sir.
Alexa Trishler and I were just kind of discussing the 10 o'clock position of where or at least where the Hurricane Center placed Francine. I'm not going to keep beating a dead horse, but it certainly didn't jump that dramatic of a position north, is what we were kind of discussing off camera. So, all right, I'll leave it alone at that. A lot of folks' alarms went off on their phone that WEA, the Weather Emergency Alert System, wireless emergency alert system, and it's for the continuation of the flood threat over JP, Orleans, and into St. Charles out toward St. John. Now, the reason for that, we're not seeing any additional rain. There is no rising water in any of these locations. It's just the ongoing issues. I think once the Weather Service has kind of surveyed the, well, not really surveyed the area, but kind of assessed just how bad the flooding is across so much of Jefferson Parish and elsewhere, they have extended the flash flood warning with the dangerous conditions, kind of the caveat that this is a significant event with so many of those canals having flooded. Now that water is in the streets, and if you're near any of the canals, as Eleanor was showing, you cannot tell the difference between what is a street and what is a canal. And even in some areas where the water looks like you can at least see the reason to be out and about at this hour, trying to drive around to see where damage may be, just wait until tomorrow. Wait until tomorrow. We've got a lot of power outages, so you cannot see. We can't judge the depth of the water. You don't know if you're going to start sending water into homes. A lot of folks are probably right now saying their prayers, blessings, if the water didn't get into the homes, and then you go and drive through and create a wake. So just stay off of the roads for the next several hours, but really going into the overnight hours and into tomorrow. Now, here's where that heavy rainfall is at the moment, and thankfully we're not seeing the rainfall rates nor the accumulations that we had on the South Shore, now north of the lake. And also note that we are getting some breaks in those heavier storms, and the intensity isn't nearly what it was earlier. But with that being said, there is a flash flood warning in effect for our North Shore parishes, all of southern St. Tammany Parish and southern Tangier Parish, including Hammond, out toward Covington, Mandeville, as far north as Pearl River as well. Also, just to the north of that, though, we do have some further heavy rainfall. It's just not quite to the levels to warrant a flash flood warning. However, we're looking at high water now, or excuse me, high rainfall totals now across all of our North Shore rivers. The storm surge is still on the rise in the lake. That pushes the water into the lake. It pushes it up all of our North Shore rivers, and there is nowhere for that rainwater to drain. So we are likely going to start seeing the rivers overflowing in St. Tammany Parish through the night and into tomorrow. We know it usually takes a little bit of time to see those rivers completely at least get below flood stage. So it's going to take a little bit of time for the North Shore. That more of an issue with river flooding. South Shore, it's more from the canal flooding and the canal overflowing that have caused some of these issues with the storm. Now, this is still a tropical storm, and there are still some very gusty winds. You saw from Eleanor kind of driving all around in Metairie, where we've got the high water, but it's still not exactly safe to be out and about. You still have some wind that can still cause some additional damage. And I know from a number of folks I'm seeing, they've had power up until about 15, 20, 30 minutes ago, and they're just now losing it. So even if you have power now, that doesn't necessarily guarantee you will continue with that electricity through the night. So there is still damage occurring across the region. Just this is not the time to be outside. We had said we will wait until this is completely through, and really we're not going to be able to assess anything until early tomorrow morning. So just wait this one out. There's no reason to be out and about yet until we get further into the morning hours and a little bit of daylight on Thursday. We've had over 7.32 inches of rainfall at Kenner, over 6 inches of rainfall at Lakefront. Then Belle Chase, not as bad, 2.5 inches of rainfall. We are approaching 4 inches up towards Slidell. Now Hammond, sometimes the Hammond gauge gives us a little bit of a fit. It's only reporting a 1/2 1/2 inch of rainfall. They've likely seen a lot more than that, and certainly more to come. Now, looking at Picayune, almost 4 inches of rainfall, and we are over 4 inches of rainfall thus far at Gulfport. Winds are still windy. Winds are still picking up, I should say, and gusting over 50 miles an hour in the city, and sustained at near 40 miles an hour. They are diminishing, but still very brisk down at Homa, still brisk at Gonzales, and winds are increasing now across the North Shore. So the wind still very much an issue, with power outages, other tree limbs coming down, and just further damage is still possible through the rest of the night and into early tomorrow morning. By wake-up time tomorrow morning, the center of what is left of Francine will be well to our north. We will have that dry air wrapping around, so we will begin to see those improving conditions. So there is light at the end of the tunnel, with the heaviest of the rainfall now a little bit more focused on the North Shore. That will continue shifting northward after midnight, so we probably got another few hours north of the lake to deal with the heavy rain, and then as that rain continues pushing northward, on the drier side, we're going to have that drier air moving in. Rainfall will begin to subside, and a much quieter rest of the night tonight and into early tomorrow. Both the GFS and the Euro are in pretty good agreement with the rough idea of the timing. Now, the winds will continue and kind of say through the rest of the night tonight. We are still going to have those strong wind gusts. Now, they are coming down, but they have been gusting up to over 50 miles an hour. So we're no longer seeing the 70, but they have still been gusting up to about 50 miles an hour. Now, those will be subsiding again, but they're still pretty breezy at the moment. If you do have power, make sure that those phones are charged. And if you haven't lost electricity yet, make sure that the phone is charged. Download the WWL app so you'll be able to keep streaming us through the night while we continue to basically ride out the storm with you. At the moment, though, looking toward downtown, again, one of the bridges, the lights continue to shine. It was the other one from the other side downriver that the lights have gone out. We can see lights downtown and on the West Bank. So, so far, at least from near where our transmitter is in Terrytown, the surrounding area does have electricity. Obviously, we've been reporting the number of areas that do not have power for right now. What thankfully is occurring is that wind shear and dry air are winning out. We are seeing gradually, as you kind of watch the satellite presentation of Tropical Storm Francine, it really no longer looks like a tropical storm. Even what had been the more intense clouds with those storms on the South Shore, as the storms themselves have moved northward, those cloud tops associated are getting ripped apart. So the rain on the North Shore, what had been potent south, is not nearly as intense as the storms continue pushing toward the North Shore, and that drier air is really starting to take cold, really starting to erode a lot of the moisture, not only kind of wrapping around on the southern and eastern side, but really coming at us from the west as well. That will continue to kind of kill off a lot of that available moisture for those heavier rains. Now, still some big soaking rains on the North Shore, but at least we're starting to cut into that moisture source and also eliminating those towering cumulus where you get the more intense storms. They are starting to wrap up. So just a recap of radar at the moment, you still have what is relatively broad circulation, and folks have been asking, are we in the eye? Well, the eye is no longer there. It is a weakening tropical storm. What had been the structure of the eye wall is what sent in those heavy storms. This basically started from landfall at 5 p.m. right through the metro area, soaking the bayou parishes, river parishes, metro area, pushing to the North Shore. But as I said, they are getting those storms ripped apart. So the intensity of the rain now north of the lake is not as bad as it was south of the lake. Still some very heavy rainfall. We still have the gusty winds. We still can have some damage to the overnight, but conditions continuing to improve.
This is a severe weather alert from WWL Weather, sponsored by Egan Insurance Agency.
Welcome back. It is 11 p.m. during our Hurricane Francine coverage. Now Tropical Storm Francine, as it moves northward, it has moved out of the southern parts of our viewing area, and Orleans and Jefferson Parish, and is on its way to the North Shore right now.
It certainly is, and as Chris Franklin has mentioned, it is starting to weaken, which is good news. However, it has left significant problems in its path, among them damage, power outages, and flooding. And that is what we want to address right now. We're hearing both in Jefferson and Orleans parishes that there is significant water in the streets. City Council member Helena Moreno for New Orleans is joining us by phone tonight to give us the latest on what happened there. Helena, thanks so much for being with us.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good. You know, obviously our first question is what's happening with the Sewage and Water Board? What are you hearing? You know, we're hearing that the EMDs may have gone down and that there may have been some power issues, you know, with the agency.
So it looks like, I mean, the Sewage and Water Board has been doing the best that they can, kind of with a game of whack-a-mole all evening. It does appear, just kind of the latest information that I'm getting, that there appear to be some EMDs down, which is our backup power for some of the pumps. Just to give you a little bit of a timeline here, and sorry, I'm going through like a variety of different texts and emails and things like that, but it looks like, let's see, roughly around 7 o'clock, it looks like DPS 12, which is the pumping station over near City Park, one of the ones by City Park, that it went down because it lost Entergy power. And then they got that one back on, and then they lost another station because of loss of Entergy power, and they were able to get that one back on. And that one, the second one that went down was number 14, which is New Orleans East. And then it looks like they started to have some, you know, obviously severe issues with the rain and things like that. So we started to see canal levels really go up in Holly Grove, Lakeview, Chantilly, and also in New Orleans East. And at the same time, some of the EMDs, those tripped offline. And so those tripped offline, but then they were able to get the EMDs, which once again, that's the backup power, back on. But now apparently it seems that maybe those have tripped back off again. And so we've got, you know, Steve Nelson, who's one of the top folks over at Sewage and Water Board, looking at EMD operations right now. Everybody's on site trying to get things moving again. But that seems to be the very latest. Seems like all hands on deck right now to try to get this situation resolved. So it looks like it's, you know, kind of a combination of obviously, you know, Entergy New Orleans issues with power, and we've seen that throughout the city. But then it may have been also a situation where some of the redundancies may have been some issues with some of the redundancies, the EMDs that I've been talking about, the backup power that may have also tripped offline. Earlier today, that situation was resolved fairly quickly, so hopefully that's going to be resolved fairly quickly again. But that's the latest information that I've been receiving. Once again, also taking a look at just different places that are receiving, you know, significant street flooding. I also want to make sure that your viewers know that they can take a look at, you know, different street flooding that's happening across the city. If they go to streetwisenola.gov, that's one of the dashboards that we have that's live, that lets you know, like, where are the underpasses that remain closed and things like that. So just some things that, you know, may be able to provide good information that's easily searchable online.
Okay, thank you so much for that update. Now, Pump Station 12 is the one in Lakeview that gets water, you know, kind of out of that upper part of Lakeview. Was that pump, you said it was turned back on, was that using one of the frequency changers and getting Entergy power you mentioned?
So that one was turned back on, and that was way earlier in the evening. I mean, it seems so much has happened since 7 o'clock, but that was way early on, and I haven't heard any additional issues with DPS 12.
And do you know, is Lakeview starting to drain, or are any of these streets starting to drain at this point, or are we still kind of in a holding pattern until they figure out how to adequately power everything?
I mean, the thing that I've been mostly concerned about is how do you get those EMDs working again? So that's really where I've been focused on, like, what are you all doing to get that back going? And it does seem that it's all hands on deck, trying to get the EMDs back on so that we can, you know, make sure that we are pumping the water out correctly.
And the turbines have not gone down, right? Those main power generating turbines?
Not that I've you know, heard of. This is a, like I said, it's just a variety of different emails and texts back and forth as they're trying to work on emergency operations. But like I said, I mean, it seems like it's very much been kind of a game of whack-a-mole all night.
Do you know if there have been any,
running smoothly?
We heard some reports of homes taking on water. David Hammer, listed a couple in his report just a little while ago.
I think specifically Lakeview, he said.
Lakeview,
right?
yes. What are you hearing?
Yeah, we're definitely hearing about issues in Lakeview, flooding in Gentilly. Some in Gentilly are telling me that they haven't seen flooding like this, like really ever in parts of their neighborhood. So yes, Lakeview, Gentilly, Mid-City, obviously, the Broad area over by the Zulu Club, that apparently is flooded again. So yes, I mean, no doubt about it, we unfortunately do have some flooded areas, and I'm sure you've probably already heard there was a rescue over by the canal underpass. We remind people, please, please, please do not get in your cars and drive. Just because it stopped raining doesn't mean that the streets aren't still flooding and that there aren't power lines down. It's still a really dangerous situation out there. Please don't get out there and drive. And then when it comes to power outages, obviously have been talking to Entergy all night. They are working on trying to begin switching so that, and what I mean by switching is like switching to other power sources, potentially those that they can tonight, to restore some people's power tonight. And so that could be happening soon. They have to wait until the majority of the storm passes and obviously the winds subside to less than 30 miles an hour. And then after that, at first light, they'll begin, doing all of the damage assessments and repairs across the city to get everybody's power back on.
Do you know, I mean, obviously the wind has died down. There's no way that the winds are still, past that threshold, but can they